Hi everybody. As always, apologies for the background noise. It's my air conditioner. Although one of my viewers commented that they like I guess it's like an ASMR thing of the sound in the background. So I am going to show you what I used to do in the probably the late 80s, early 90s. I always had this creative energy in me, and there's really no way to release it. But starting probably in the late 70s, I started writing poetry, mainly serious poetry, a little humorous poetry too, but mainly serious. And probably not knowing it at the time, but probably quite a bit of it was kind of depressing. So when computers came along and there was I forget what program I used, but I started to make these newsletters. And I'm not sure which one I started first, but I even did like a pamphlet idea. And I even had a website when the internet came along called gravetimes.com, and I would post humorous stories and poetry and whatever else there, and it got, some comments and everything. So this is one of my early ones. A newsletter so funny it will make you howl. With stupid clip art. This is your free sample copy of Grave Times. I didn't sell them. For adults only. And, for not knowing anything about, design or anything, I did a halfway decent job. So I could read all of these, but I won't. This is a short humorous story called The Whole Scoop. Peter was hungry for an ice cream cone. He and his friend Rick walked a 2-mile journey to Victor's ice cream castle. Even though Victor had every type of flavor imaginable, Peter ordered a triple scoop of good old vanilla ice cream. His friend decided on a single scoop of maple walnut. That's my favorite ice cream, by the way. Peter could hardly wait to bite into the cold, soothing ice cream. As they left the store and proceeded down the road, Peter noticed that his 3 scoops were way off balance. He knew he had to take command of the situation and get some major tongue work going. Rick was laughing, but to Peter this was a life and death situation. As his tongue flickered around the cone, all 3 scoops, he swears, jumped out of the cone and landed with a major splat on the gravel road. Peter was furious. Rick knew not to laugh or he'd be on the road with the scoops. Peter stormed back to the store. "Sir, I just purchased a 3-scoop ice cream cone. You did not place the scoops properly in the cone, and I lost all my ice cream on the road outside." With a sinister chuckle, Victor whispered, "Go back outside and scoop up what you can. This has happened before. I'll just place it in the Rocky Road container." Rocky Road ice cream, in case you've never heard of that. And so when I would do these newsletters, I'd pass them out to my family and maybe a friend or two. And I'd always get really good feedback. And I would even though I didn't really have much confidence back then, I'd take it to work and I would give them to my boss and my boss's dad and his parents, like own the business. So they would read these newsletters too. And more than once, I remember my boss coming out to me, and I'm working away doing the job making the plastic bags, sweating away. He'd come out of his nice air-conditioned office, and he oh, that's the other thing. You know, I'd be working away, and I knew they were reading these newsletters, and I'd hear laughter. You know, not expecting it. It's like, oh, they find it funny. But I would hear them laughing once in a while. But the one time my boss came out and he handed this back to me and he said, "What are you doing working here?" and I would think, yeah, what am I doing working here? I remember one memory of being under the machine that made the plastic bags and trying to fix whatever. And I just kind of collapsed, you know, and just laid there for a second. And that's not because it was work, because it's not, you know, the physical work I didn't care about. But it was just like, what am I, you know, it's like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I doing this? This is what, you know, because I'm a creative person, it's like, you know, it was depressing for a second. And that's why, you know, now I've got YouTube and I can get out my creativity. Yeah, grave times. These are gonna be worth big bucks someday. And I actually wrote my first and only long story, The Adventures of Lenny. The only story I've ever written. And I remember giving this story to my nephew, who's a very intelligent person and a lot smarter than me, and he wrote his own stories, which were way, you know, way more intelligent than I could ever be. But he gave me a compliment. You know, he criticized, you know, some, which I appreciated, but he said overall, you know, he complimented me on it. So that made me feel good. So here's like some of it is kind of sick humor, I guess. Alzheimer's meeting canceled. Local 122 Alzheimer's Society meeting scheduled for next Thursday has been canceled. When asked for the reason, club president Miles Brickhead's only response was, "I forget." Musicians and their favorite songs, or more tasteless blind jokes. Stevie Wonder. I think my favorite song of all time is probably The Sounds of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel. In fact, it seems every morning when I stumble out of bed I'm singing, "Hello darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk to you again." And then Ray Charles. I have many favorites, yet the one that always chokes me up every night I sing it is "I Can See Clearly Now." I'll wait for the laughter to die down. Yeah, I loved, you know, designing. There's my camping story. So that, you know, I did write stories, but this, you know, most of them were just like humorous stories. And this one was actually really well received because it was a true story. Maybe someday I'll read a couple of them in a video. A Camping We Will Go. A true story. And then, you know, I'd have these comical ads. Topless Pizzeria, the only pizza establishment where the waitresses serve their customers topless. That's right. No pepperoni, no green peppers, no sauce, no cheese, and no mess. Let's see here. I even made a joke about my work, because we would do various plastic bags, and they'd have to, you know, box them and everything. And there was some things we did. We did hospital bags, which had a glue strip, and I hated doing those jobs because it would be messy and it would stick to the rollers, and oh, it was just terrible. But the blue bags, the newspaper bags, were really easy. You could actually sit down. I could bring in my CD player and listen to music. That's the one thing I loved about my job there. And so blue bags were easy to make. And so I did this ad. Advertisement. Not paid for yet, by the way. For the best quality plastic bags, please contact my boss at Quinty Plastics in Brayton, and the phone number. Our specialty is blue bags. In big print. Trying to hint, I guess. Today's weather, same as yesterday's. Tomorrow's weather, clear skies, but carry an umbrella in case we've screwed up again. Now, I saw this clip art of this family and this little kid, and so I made a story. 3-year-old Hitler. Math quiz. You know, those stupid things where you have to really try and think. Tom had 6 brothers and 5 sisters. 3 brothers and 2 sisters were married. 1 brother was divorced and 3 sisters were pregnant. Tom was single and unemployed. 4 of his sisters were nurses. 2 of Tom's brothers were lawyers. If Tom's parents drove 110 miles and parked, do you think they'd use birth control? I didn't say my humor was funny. And then some of these stories I'd kind of copy and put them into, you know, I do various kind of newsletters. A word on pornographic films. I have just watched my first pornographic film. I was not impressed. These movies have no social redeeming qualities to them. There is no plot to follow. I have reached the conclusion that all pornographic films should be destroyed. They are disgusting. They are degrading to women. I have a plan. I am willing to destroy these terrible tapes myself. If any of you have these vulgar movies, you may send them to me here at Grave Times, and I'll make sure they are destroyed. Please do not send beta. I never got any tapes. The search for a new Beatles continues. The Dog from Hell, a true story of my dog Elmo, the beautiful dog that I owned. Another humorous story I wrote, A Light at the End of the Tunnel. I don't know. Picture there. You know, so I would be inspired just from clip art. The Society of Violent People is for individuals that need to communicate in an open forum on problems associated with the seldom heard of mental disorder. Meetings are held every Tuesday afternoon at precisely 3 p.m. at the Church of Latter-day Sinners. Individuals who come to the meeting without their ID card will be shot on sight. And I would even put poetry, you know, like on one of the other videos. There's my poem for salvation. So I guess I'll end this. I don't know if there's anything, you know, a lot of these were kind of too long to read. There was one which is kind of, it might be my favorite. It's a Star Wars kind of a joke with very sexual overtones. This is for adults only. Star Trek: The Abduction, Part 1. Gigantic ship lands in Captain Kirk's backyard. Captain Kirk is abducted by very bizarre-looking aliens. Once on the ship, Captain Kirk notices the other retired crew members are also on the ship. Captain Kirk comes across a very shaken Scotty, the engineer. Beside him is a very ugly female alien with some sort of gun by her side. My God, Scotty, what is that contraption? It's a bubble gun. It's a bubble gun, Captain. If it's shot, a huge bubble wraps around its victim and tortures him endlessly. I've seen it work with my own eyes. It's terrible. I'm trying to do an accent and really failing. Relax, Scotty. Stay calm. They're very upset with me, Captain. They want me to fix the transporter, but I don't know how. Just stay here, Scotty. I'm going to try and find Spock. Suddenly, a piercing scream was heard in the air. Captain Kirk turned around to find Scotty in a state of panic. She's about to blow me, Captain. Anyway, this is the strangest ASMR channel you've ever watched, isn't it? So I'll end up with a serious poem that I don't think I read in my other video. In a Dream. I went for a ride in a dream I had. Although I was scared to death, the ride was not that bad. There was a loving force with me for the ride. It was always with me, always by my side. I flew up to the stars and gazed down at the earth. I saw my own death. I witnessed my own birth. I talked to strangers who I've always known. I was all by myself, yet I was not alone. This dream was special, not some kind of fantasy. This dream was all about you, yet this dream was for me. And these poems would just come to me, and they're pretty deep, man. But yeah, I love being creative back then, and I don't really, the thing is, I could write poems, I could write song lyrics. I think that's the biggest talent I've had in my life is, when I was writing poems and lyrics and everything. But, I love doing what I'm doing now, being creative on YouTube. And so I love, the feedback especially, and the likes. And yeah, I just like, I'm lucky in a way, even on my main channel, some people think I'm this huge YouTube celebrity, but 99% of people do not know me on YouTube. But I've got, a little following, which is nice. And so anytime I do post something, I usually get some feedback from it, right? So it makes me feel good to get the feedback. And so I thank you for watching and commenting. Have a great day. Bye. Are you sleeping all day again today, Mittens? Yeah. Just like every day? Yeah.